The discussion about mind is fascinating. The brain. I still remember when I first read Fred Spear's book on big history, and he was talking about emergent complexity. He got to the point where he was talking about that the most complex matter of which we are aware in the universe is the brain. I don't know if it's true, but 100 billion neurons with a trillion synapses. He saw this as really important. And it just raises the great question about why did we see brain development? I mean, you go from, distributed neurons through jellyfish to ganglia in flatworms to increasingly sophisticated and complex brain structures, and finally we get the neocortex and hominids and so on. And very often it was associated with tool use. It must be technology that kind of, there was a nice positive feedback between tool use and brain development. And then others said, no, the mind really wasn't about tool use, or it wasn't about internal reflection. It was part of our increasingly sophisticated social relations, that we had to have a theory of mind. I had to know what others were thinking in order to coordinate our activities for them. To me, that's an interesting notion, because it raises for me an answer to the question about how do we tie together big history with religion, and the way I see it at this point is, again, etymologically, you look at the word religion, and the linguists tell me that there was an Indo-European word, league or lie, which meant to bind together, to tie together, not to restrain, but to connect. That ligament has the same etymology as religion, to tie two bones together. That doesn't restrict movement, it makes movement possible, something that wouldn't have been possible if those bones weren't tied together. And so I understand that the British were the first to notice that there were common origins of Sanskrit words with Latin words coming from Indo-European, and that the Latin word religare also has a meaning to tie together, to connect. So for me, that's an interesting notion about how to define religion, that it's about what connects us, not how do I have a rich internal experience, but what connects me to others. And that's where Ken Baskin's notion of common myth, common symbols, a common set of understandings that we can use to accurately understand each other and relate to each other, so that we can do things together that we couldn't have done before, or individually. And that's, as I get it, one of the key themes of big history, the increasingly sophisticated ways that things are tied together.